Hello, everyone. This is TNA, Top Notch Audio, and I want to welcome you to episodes of r/slash I Don't Work Here Lady. I may have been the Karen here. This isn't the usual I don't work here story. A couple of years ago, I was at this electronics store trying to return headphones or something, irrelevant to story. This store had their workers wearing classic polo shirts, but the managers would be in a shirt and tie in blue color, relevant. To return this item, I had to do it with the manager or supervisor and not the regular cashier. The cashier who informs me of this goes to fetch his manager, and I wait there for a good 5 to 10 minutes. Eventually, I see one of the managers walking about, and I grab his attention and ask him about it. He says, sure, and brings me to customer service and asks for my receipt and warranty card and hands them to the counter. Then he tells me he doesn't work there, but was happy to help and leaves. I know this isn't the usual, but I thought this should go on here because people can be friendly and helpful too. Welcome back to another episode of r/slash I Don't Work Here Lady. Get ready for another episode. Confusion at the swimming baths. My local sports center is upgrading to an electronic system. Doors have locks on that you can open with the fob, the kind you might attach to your keys. So once you have checked in, paid, either at the desk or on the new quick serve machines in the main entrance, the doors to various areas will open for you, provided you are eligible for entry. It's early days of the new system, and some people aren't used to it. Change is scary. The gym and spa suite and the swimming pool are in separate areas, and both have their own changing rooms. However, there's a door and long corridor that links the two, so that if you want to go to the gym, then for a swim, or go a swim, then to the spa suite, sauna, etc., or some combination thereof, you can use this door to pass back and forth. I work out 5 days a week and am very familiar with the new system already. I've seen plenty of people caught out, not able to get past the door to an area, and explained it to them. Such was the scene I came upon when, after my workout and on my way for a swim, I came across this woman in her bathing suit, trying to get through the door unsuccessfully. She was hesitant to go back into the gym in her bathing suit to ask for assistance, and her other option, the doors next to her that would open, led to the main entrance, and I doubt she would want to walk through the cafe in her bathing suit, even less than through the gym. I saw her distress and explained to her that the door was now on a sensor and that in future she just need to bring her membership key fob with her to get through. But I let her through with mine as we were both going that way. She was grateful, and I thought nothing more of it, at least until our next interaction. After a quick chat with some of the lifeguards who I know, I jumped in and started doing my links, and the lady from my earlier encounter got into the same lane as me. It was a bit of a nuisance because it was the mid-speed lane, and she was going too slow for it. So I had to overtake her ever 2 to 3 links, which often meant slowing down until an overtaking opportunity presented itself. At one point, she stopped at the end, and I saw her pointing at me and speaking to the lifeguards, but the lifeguard just shrugged and said something to her that she obviously didn't like, because for the remainder of the swim, she had a face like she was chewing wasps. Eventually, I had done my swim and stopped to rest for a moment to catch my breath before getting out of the pool. She had been stopped for several minutes by this point, just taking up space at the end of the lane, an obstacle for the rest of us to swim around. Once I stopped, she said, "Oh, good, you can help me. I need you to move this so that I can get out." And she pointed to the line of floats that separate the different swimming lanes. It a long steel wire that runs the length of the pool and is covered with plastic-colored floats. I told her I couldn't do that because A, it's not my place to do so, and B, it was very securely and tightly fastened to the wall. This was not some simple hook or latch system. She insisted that I help her because she could not get her hair wet, as she had an important appointment, which she didn't elaborate on, nor why that was suddenly my problem. The strange standoff and insistence that I help her went on for another few minutes, and after the second time of it circling around to the same words coming from her, I decided not to participate in the circle a third time and simply dove under the barriers, swam to the stairs, climbed out, and left her her own conundrum. I went back to the gym to the changing rooms, got changed, and headed up to leave, and there she was, complaining to some very high profile people, the sport facility manager, who you never really see. I only know who he is from the few times I booked the main hall to organize martial arts events. I'm a coach. And standing next to him were two local politicians, one who was a representative for the area of the sports center was in, and the other was on board for sports and recreation. They were obviously there on some official business, and she had spied them and gone to give them a piece of her mind. I could hear her as I walked toward the main doors. She was having a go about some rude employee, and I chuckled to myself, thinking some poor side was going to get it in the neck by causing her to have reason to complain just when these two high-ranking officials were in, and the sport facility manager is looking completely flummoxed and tells her that he has no one working by that description. Frustrated, she looks around the room, spots me, and goes, "Him," and points directly at me. I look at the three men, they look at me, and then we all look at each other. She has a really smug, almost triumphant grin on her face when the sport facility manager said to her, "He doesn't work here." Now, I know in a lot of these I don't work here lady stories, the Karens of this world rarely accept at face value the first, second, or even 50th time they are told someone doesn't work there. But she didn't fight it at all. She just looked really puzzled. And then after a few moments in confused thought, she said, "But he has a card to get through the doors." And that's when the facility manager had to explain to her the new system and that everyone who has a membership card is able to get through the doors. When I went in today, one of the staff told me it couldn't have happened at a more opportune time because the new system had been the idea of the politicians, and they were annoyed that the rollout hadn't gone smoothly and that people were still queuing up and paying cash on a pay-as-you-go style rather than paying for a month in advance and using the electronic system. As such, they hadn't gotten accurate or favorable data back from the system, and they had complained to the manager, who had them come down and was trying to explain to them that people found the new system difficult to understand or intimidating, or were just being slow to adapt to change. Our misunderstanding underlined his own point so beautifully it couldn't have gone better. He had orchestrated it himself, and for them to be stood there next to him when it all went down, I bet he'll be telling that story for years to come. Welcome back to another episode of r/slash I Don't Work Here Lady. Get ready for another episode. Deciding which drum kit I should get, got confused for an employee of the music store. This was a little while ago, so I'll be paraphrasing what was said, but I'll try my best to make it as accurate as possible. In the area I live in, there's probably 2 or 3 main music shops I know of, and 2 of which are in the same city, a few streets from each other. This particular store I went to has no uniform, but some form of ID. I think it was an ID card around their neck, but haven't been there in a while, so I can't remember. LMAO. At this time, I've been playing drums in school for about 6 months and decided I want to buy a drum kit for my house. This shop has had the best prices, yada yada yada, so I decided to go there. As soon as I went in, I spotted a mother and father with a small kid, probably 3 or 4, walking about. I went up to an employee and asked for recommendations, and funny enough, gave me a recommendation. I hadn't been on an electric drum kit before, but he was listing all the pros to them and the cons. And after plugging headphones in, he let me play and see how I felt. I'm a big guy. At the time, I was 17 and was going to the gym a lot. I was probably a little over 100 kgs at the time, but it was a mix of fat and muscle. One of the pros of this drum kit was that everything was movable, so anyone could play and not feel cramped. Very useful for me. About two minutes in, I saw the mother, clearly the alpha of the family, marching toward me. I paid no attention. I was looking for a kit, and maybe they were just on their way over here, too. She stopped a meter away from me, crossed her arms, and tapped her foot. I stopped playing, took one headphone off, and the following conversation happened. Me. Hello. EM. Where would the best guitars be? Me. I'm not actually sure. EM, cutting me off. You don't know? How would an employee not know? Me, I don't work here. She seemed unfazed by this info. EM, get me your manager now. This is unacceptable behavior and a bad way of treating a customer. I just stared at her, almost dumbfounded at how she mistakes me for an employee. Sure, they had no uniform, but I wasn't wearing anything to ID myself as an employee. I'm pretty sure the dad knew I was an employee, but was too afraid to even challenge his alpha. I should also point out I look much older than I am. I'm also rather hairy and have a baldy kept beard. Me, I do not work here. EM, do not lie to me. I know you work here, and I'll have you fired for this. I know the owner. I clearly displayed on my face my amusement. I started smiling, trying to control my laughter. Big mistake. She started screeching at the top of her lungs, shouting and pointing at me, shouting about how I'm done and that I'm a bad employee. Actual employees came to calm the situation down a bit. I just sat back down and kept playing, and she kept shouting that I should be fired. She was eventually calmed down and taken to a separate part of the store. Now, I thought that this is where it ends, that I had a funny story to tell my friends and a memory to laugh at, but no. I decided not to get this version of the jump kit, but to get a more advanced, upgraded version, which they didn't have in stock. The other store, a few streets away, did. So I quickly walked there, asked for assistance, and the same general process as before happened. I sat down, and as I was putting the headphones on, she walks in, demanding to see the guitar section. And to my luck, it was right beside me. I played as normal, testing out the features and feeling the way it plays. The dad lifts the guitar, despite it saying to ask for an employee to help, and hands it to the son, who instantly drops it. In my attempt not to laugh, I fake coughed and looked away, but she heard. She turns on her heel and, EM, do you know how rude? Why are you here? Me, don't work here either. I did as any normal, sane person would do, assume it's coincidence and move on. She following the path of being senile, assumed I was obviously following her and harassing her. EM, you followed us here. Me, I was here first. This is clearly didn't matter as she called for security. Two guys smaller than me came over and asked if there was a problem, and before I could open my mouth, she said, EM, yes, he is stalking and harassing my family and threatened to assault me, smirking and smugly looking at me. At this point, I realized it could get serious, so I stood up and said, me, check the security footage. I come in here first and didn't even talk to her. She approached me. The two guys, knowing I had came in first, said to her it'll be investigated. She was having none of this, and as expected, screaming, shouting, and flaring ensued. I turned to one of the guys and explained what had happened at the other store, and he brought me away and sorted me out with the drum kit. In short, forget that female dog. Accusing a large, built teen of threatening to assault could have went completely south and got me in serious trouble, but thankfully, nothing came from it. I didn't believe people like this actually existed, but now I feel sorry for those who deal with them on a daily basis. Bro fist to all those who deal with crazies every day. Welcome back to another episode of r/slash I don't work here lady. Get ready for another episode. He's a customer and he's deaf. Had my roommate take me to Walmart last night. I was wearing average size friendly clothes, dark shirt, blue bottom up overshirt that was open, black swim shorts, no yellow vest, indicating I work for the Mart of Walls. Completely secondhand. Some of you may recognize me from my account as I've posted some more wholesome stories on this subreddit. But I'm severely hard of hearing, so much so I claim to be deaf. I can't hear women and children, completely silent. That's important to this story. A female manager at the Walmart was apparently screaming and hollering at me for a solid 10 minutes before my roomie figured out WTF was going on and got my attention. He had told the manager that was screaming at me that 1, I'm a customer, and 2, I'm deaf. The manager went as white as a sheet of paper and apologized profusely. Silver lining, $10 gift card for not even knowing that I was getting screamed at by a banshee. This has been TNA Top Notch Audio. Please like, comment, share, subscribe for sure. And we look forward to more videos for you and your enjoyment in the future.